we shall be doing the presentation with her. I'll do a little bit of introduction concerning Urban Ubuntu, and then Tarin will take over to take us through the email protection. Yeah, so Urban Ubuntu, please. Yeah, so Urban Ubuntu is a vendor partner in Africa. We are in 8 countries, that is East Africa, West Africa, and Tandak. We work with a variety of partners. Some of our partners are Know Before. Know Before deals with the security awareness training. I think around Feb, Christine took you through that. We also work with Logmain. Logmain deal with access and identity management. We have also partnered with Flukepoint as well as eCentire. Darktrace is one of our best partners. They deal with their product is a cyber platform that focuses on detecting sophisticated cyber threats. One unique thing about Darktrace is that they do not rely on blacklisting or signatures. So Tading will take over, will take us through the Darktrace as well as the email protection. So I'll let Tadim take over. Tadim, can you share your screen, please?
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Let me try and see if I can share the screen. Cool. Okay, hello everyone. My name is Taryn Woods. I am an account executive at Darktrace. I don't know if you can tell from my accent, but I reside in South Africa, in Johannesburg. And yeah, looking forward to this presentation. Thanks for having me. So today I'm going to be speaking about, a new approach to email security. Darktrace, we are a cyber AI company, which means that, we've brought artificial intelligence into cybersecurity. As we all know, the threat landscape is evolving. Cyber attacks are growing in sophistication and speed, and this is making it quite difficult for the traditional security tools to keep up. So our cyber AI technology really revolves around the entire business organization, whether that is network, email, SaaS, cloud, virtual machines, IoT devices. And essentially, the AI is learning, what is normal across the entire organization. And by understanding what is normal behavior, activity, the AI can then pick up deviations that may be a sign of something threatening. This means that, the AI doesn't have to have pre-definition of what bad looks like or what bad is. It's very unique to the organization's behavior and patterns. So we pick up unusual activity, deviations, and this could be, anything from more advanced email threats to maybe some ransomware that we've never seen before, malware, compliance risk, etc. But today's session, I'm going to just talk about email. And yeah, let me start. Cool. All right. So the way we use email is continuously evolving. The type of content we share via email, how we share it is changing all the time. Who we communicate with, the devices we use are always shifting. Ultimately, humans are changing, scenarios are changing, and we need technology that adapts with us. Traditional email security tools were not built to evolve with changing circumstances, and this is a critical problem. It's a problem that is becoming increasingly clear in the context of our current, threat landscape. As organizations around the world are now shifting to remote work, we're seeing security teams really struggling with an influx of threats originating via the inbox. The email threat landscape is evolving more rapidly than ever. And unfortunately, traditional security controls are just proving ill-equipped to keep pace. Self-learning AI that understands the dynamic human behind the email is really the only way to defend against every single email-borne threat before it can do damage to an organization. It is capable of distinguishing, malicious emails from legitimate business communications. Cyber AI is proven to stop even the most sophisticated attacks like fearware, for example, which I'll go into in a second. And basically will stop these attacks from ever reaching your employee or your inbox. Fearware sounds ominous. So what is it? These attacks essentially prey specifically on current fears, uncertainty, and doubt. They are, of course, given current events, has been an increase in the style of attack in the past few months. So we know just how effective cyber AI is in defending against these fearware attacks because we've seen it in action at Darktrace. In the month of April alone, there were about 60% of the advanced phishing emails that Darktrace blocked were either related to COVID-19 or aimed to trick employees by referring to remote work. Attackers are using, the shift to remote work to supercharge many types of attacks, such as, domain spoofing, to infiltrate the inbox by impersonating, say, a corporate update related to remote work. Other types of impersonation attacks might attempt to compromise business email or leverage even AI to launch digital fake campaigns. We've seen threat actors using the current increase in digital subscription services to create fake newsletters that are then used for phishing. Another trend we've seen is the increased use of remote presentation sites that allow attackers to masquerade behind, trusted websites, where they can then embed malicious payloads within presentations that are then shared in emails. And these emails, in most cases, will unfortunately go undetected by traditional email gateway tools. And when it comes to new forms of fearware, we've seen, I believe, 130,000 COVID-19 linked domains registered, many of these being used maliciously, of course. So as we face these challenges, the traditional email defenses are failing. And really, they fail because they ask the wrong questions. This traditional approach essentially works like a patchwork doorman, checking a few lists of various requirements and rules and letting the email in if it seems to check all the boxes. What's worse is this doorman assumes trust. So as long as the email doesn't shout that it's malicious, the traditional email security tool assumes it's not. To catch every email-borne threat, we really need AI-powered email security solutions. These tools make use of machine learning algorithms to understand, the behavior in the inbox and then alert when they recognize a change. This is a key shift because, AI-powered tools don't rely on blacklists or threat signatures. These tools don't ask whether an email is bad, but instead understand, whether an email belongs. However, just to add, there are many AI-enabled tools that still face limitations. A lot of email security tools that claim to use AI may not use true AI. The problem with these tools is that they still rely on the evidence of yesterday's attack. So essentially, they're training the data, training the AI to look for certain patterns. So they still need to define what bad looks like in advance in order to teach the machine, what to look for. And this is a fundamental limitation, as it's not going to catch the novel zero-day stuff. So yes, slightly better than, the traditional approach, but not going to catch everything. So I've got a little video here.
94% of cyber threats originate via email. Legacy defenses at the border analyze emails in isolation, correlating them against static blacklists and signatures of historical attacks. But this retrospective approach isn't enough to catch targeted email threats, which leverage fresh domains, trusted accounts, and novel strains of malware that have never been seen before. With Antigenic email, Darktrace delivers the world's first solution that learns the normal pattern of life for every user, correspondent, and all the complex relationships between them. Powered by self-learning AI, Antigenic email analyzes emails in context, building an evolving understanding of the dynamic human within email communications. This multidimensional insight into what normal looks like for Vanessa, her peers, and the wider organization allows Antigenic email to spot even the most subtle deviations and threats, however novel or targeted they may be. While legacy defenses can only ask about historical attacks, Antigenic email can intelligently ask whether this email belongs, right here, right now, in the context of your unique digital business at every conceivable layer. And it can ask these questions because Antigenic email is the only solution that can learn continuously on the job, adapting to your business as it evolves. From social engineering and spear phishing attacks to compromised credentials and supply chain account takeover, Darktrace's cyber AI defends your inbox from every threat. The inbox has traditionally been the easiest entry point into an organization, but with Antigenic email, defenders are finally regaining the advantage. Antigenic email, delivering the world's first self-defending inbox.
All right, so based on Antigenic email's very accurate decision-making process and insight into your organization, it can autonomously triage and then respond to email-borne threats. In every case, the system works by neutralizing threats, while of course sustaining normal email communication, which is very critical. We don't want to block the legitimate stuff, which is sometimes the case with traditional email tools. Antigenic email might combine any number of approaches to execute the most appropriate response. These actions might include holding back suspicious emails for further investigation, maybe just converting an attachment into a harmless PDF, potentially moving an email to the junk folder, or removing malicious links, or even just double locking a link, preventing that user from ever accessing that link. Antigenic email guards your inbox 24/7 and can catch a full range of email-borne threats, anything from stealthy social engineering, impersonation attacks, whether an account has potentially been hijacked. So if you're getting an email from a known correspondent, someone you often communicate with, Antigenic can pick up if that potential account has actually been hijacked and someone has managed to compromise your supplier, per se, his email, and is now trying to phish information from you, or trying to coax you into making an unauthorized payment, or maybe trying to coax you into downloading a malicious attachment. This can also pick up novel malware, and then obviously most notably fearware attacks. Antigenic email catches the most targeted attacks, even when the email address itself is legitimate, because it understands the human behind the address and understands whether this email belongs. These attacks, of course, can lead to anything from intellectual property, data loss, business and system damage. If there's a ransomware attack that comes through via an email, damage to digital trust, compliance issues, and then, of course, most notably, serious financial burden. Today, fearware attacks are being mass manufactured and launched, as we call machine speed, so quicker than we can even think. A recent study determined, I think it was about 10,000 coronavirus-related domains are being created almost daily. 9 out of 10 of these are either malicious or attempting to generate sales of fake products. Some attackers are even using AI to create emails that are self-researching. And that can be created at machine speed and scale, which is quite scary because, as a human, we just simply can't keep up with that. The content of these emails are so convincing, it's nearly impossible for us to distinguish whether it is legitimate or not. We're seeing these fear attacks targeting all industries. As an example here, one of our customers recently saw an impersonation attempt where the parent sender is the CDC pretending to have emergency information about COVID-19. These emails all contain links that display text that make you believe that the link leads to the CDC, but in reality, the URL is random and polymorphic, so it's constantly changing. The attackers This attack was actually designed to harvest Microsoft 365 credentials. So Antigenic email identified a number of anomalies that alerted to this threat. And this had actually bypassed the traditional email security tool. So let's have a look into this. These are the screenshots from our user interface, from the Antigenic email user interface. You can see Darktrace scored every email as highly anomalous, so 100% anomalous here. This is actually, 100% unusual in terms of this human user's pattern of life. And you can see they all came in from different domains and were all held back. Okay. So ultimately, these emails were never delivered. Here in this specific case, you can see that the domains were all highly unusual. The sender, for example, had no history with the organization, and the links within the body of the email were all rare. Interestingly enough, on investigation, we noticed one of the domains was registered only 2 hours prior to the first email. So it would have never been on any blacklist. And this is really where the limitation of, traditional email security approaches comes in. If there is a new domain, in most cases, it's not on a blacklist. So traditional email tools will let that email through. But because Antigenic email sits post-delivery, so even after, an email security gateway, after Microsoft ATP in that life cycle of the email, so we are also able to see Microsoft spam confidence score for the email. And, surprisingly enough, it gave this email a score of 1, which means it would not have classified this email as spam because the message was scanned and ultimately determined to be clean. There was unfortunately no action whatsoever for the first 5 emails with this domain. We can also see that the added visibility and context delivered, when our customers leverage Antigenic email with the rest of the cyber AI platform, and this is a prime example in this study case. The domain in the from address is quite rare, which provides more contextual information that Darktrace could have derived maybe across the network activity of that user. So when we're looking at, a user's email activity, we can also correlate it to their network data as well and make far more intelligent decisions around, has this user ever, visited some kind of CDC website? Have they maybe subscribed to, a letter? It's those kinds of questions that we ask. So there's a lot more context around how we then action on the specific email. All right, so by asking questions like, does this email appear to belong, or is there an existing relationship between the sender and recipient, the AI can accurately discern the threat posed by a given email and, really incorporate these findings into future models or future findings. A model cannot be trained to think just because the corporation received, a higher volume of emails from a specific sender, like in this example. these emails are not all of a sudden considered normal for the environment. By weighing human interaction with the email or the domains, our AI avoids the assumption that this is legitimate. We're seeing a lot of communication coming from this domain. It must be legitimate. The inbox has traditionally been obviously the easiest point of entry to an organization. But the fundamental difference in approach offered by cyber AI, drastically increases Antigenic email's detection capability when compared with traditional gateway tools. Customers with and without email gateways in place have definitely seen a noticeable curve in their email problem. In this continuous cat and mouse game, as we call it here in security, security teams really need to augment their defenses with cyber AI. It gives them the upper hand. And as humans, we're finally regaining the advantage against attackers. Okay, so to wrap up, it's really crucial to invest in technology that evolves with your business. This is becoming increasingly apparent and critical, in today's circumstances. The threat landscape is evolving at such a rate. Cyber AI undoubtedly gives you the upper hand against tomorrow's attacks, and why, security teams across Africa are investing in Darktrace. We've got a very compelling story. We've got over 1,000 customers currently in Africa. All right, so I have a few minutes. If you guys have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer. I hope that was interesting.
Yes, Taring, that was interesting. You have one question from the chat.
All right, cool. Can I see the chat?
Maybe I could read it out to you. So Grace Wambo is asking, what are the remediation actions taken when the email is designated a high malicious score?
Yeah, good question. So Darktrace or Antigenic email takes various actions depending on obviously what is inside that email. So the most severe action that we can take is holding the email back altogether, so preventing the email from being delivered. We can also convert attachments, lock links, double lock links. We can also send an email to junk. And this is, the action that is taken is purely decided by the AI, depending on, the analysis of that email. All right, the other question is, what are the deployment options? So Antigenic email, currently we can only integrate into Microsoft 365 and Google. The deployment is completely in the cloud. Essentially, how we deploy is we create a journal rule in Microsoft 365. So every single email that comes through Microsoft, a copy will be sent to Darktrace for analysis. Our AI makes such quick decisions that even before Microsoft has delivered that email, we've sent back our decision and then that decision is made. We'll spin up a cloud tenant in Azure, and that's kind of where our AI sits. The next question are, what are the false positives? That's a really awesome question. False positives are really more defined when it comes to, signatures and rules. Of course, with AI, there is a learning period. So, we're learning about that user's behavior, who they normally communicate with. So normally when we run a trial at Darktrace, we offer a free 30-day trial with the customer. So it's essentially 30 days of free machine learning. Within 10 days of being deployed, Darktrace can already start picking up some interesting findings. In most cases, there might be some things that is legitimate, but, we're just not, we haven't understood the organization or learned the organization totally. So in the beginning, there may be some false positives, as we call it, or I don't know really what you call it in cyber AI. But yeah, false positives, not really a massive concern. And, when we run the trial, we eliminate that concern quite quickly. Also during the trial, maybe just to mention, we don't put the AI in active mode. So during the proof of value, as we call it, Darktrace is passive. So it's just recommending actions. When we onboard a customer, we'll do a little bit of tuning, kind of look at the environment, because absolutely every single, organization is different. So there might be some things like, there was a bank we were doing a trial at, and you can basically apply for a job on their website. And when you apply for the job on the website, a CV is sent to, I think it was your HR. And all of the CV attachments, our AI was converting because we were seeing it coming from Gmail accounts. So we just had to tweak that slightly to be like, this is kind of normal. We expect CVs to come through this email. So yeah. All right, that was a very long answer. Sorry about that. Are those remediation actions automatic? Yes. So when we are in full autonomous mode, absolutely, those actions will happen immediately. Hi. Hi, yes.
Enza Kibujo has a question.
Yes, go for it.
Enza, where are you? Okay, go ahead on the next question. I apologize for that. He got lost.
Okay, no problem. So I see there's a question. Is there any way that you can distinguish a legitimate email from a fake one? Absolutely. So that's exactly what the AI is built to do. So every single time an email comes in, the AI is learning about that user's email behavior. And it's looking inside the email. So there's a lot of mathematics, algorithms that are working very hard in the background to determine whether this email belongs. Are we seeing a strange attachment? Are we seeing a link in this email that we've never seen before? And also the link looks like it's taking you to a Microsoft 365 login, but in the actual domain, there's no reference to Microsoft. So yes, absolutely. We can distinguish legitimate emails from fake ones. The other question, on average, how long does it take to learn the environment it's deployed in to form a baseline? So Darktrace doesn't really form a baseline. Our learning is continuous and forever, as long as we're in the environment, our AI is going to continuously learn and evolve as the environment changes. Typically, it will take about 10 days for our AI to start, really formulating intelligent decisions. So yeah, 10 days. But I think for the email side of things, I always like to let it run, at least a month and a half. All right, an organization that has configured their DKIM, DMARC, and SPF versus one that has deployed your email security AI. A comment on that, please. Stella, I don't know if you can maybe just elaborate on that question quick. Stella?
Yes. So, okay. From most email servers, it's recommended to configure these particular policies and enable these configurations for the security, for the sake of spoofing and all that.
Yes, yeah.
So, yes, I was wondering, should a company have both these configurations as well as your AI, or is your AI cover both?
Yeah, so must remember the AI is looking at the email, and it will look at the SPF if it's an authenticated email address. So the configuration is slightly different to the email security gateway. The gateway is almost like a firewall for the organization. So it's just kind of having a look at every single email. We don't really, DMARC isn't very important for us. But it is something that we look at when an email comes in. I don't know if that answers the question.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, cool. All right. With AI-powered email security solutions comes data privacy concerns. What assurance does the provider give, especially for sensitive email accounts? Yeah, that's a great question. So there are a lot of permissions on Antigenic email, obviously, because the AI is looking at every single email that comes in. The AI can see the content of the email, but on the actual user interface, the only people who can have a view into the content of the emails is the admin user. Also, absolutely everything that happens on the UI is audited. So whoever logs in, if they're downloading an email, if they're downloading an attachment, you will have an audit log. We also, every single client will have their own cloud tenant. Of course, we are a security company, so security is always top of mind. And we can assure that, that data is secure. All right, we have a whole policy and security compliance schedule. So I hope that answered your question, Kevin. All right, anything else?
I see no more question.
Great questions. That was really awesome.
Maybe I could just quickly ask a question. Is there like a way you could quickly take us through? For example, I'm a client interested in the email security AI, and I want to deploy it at my organization.
Yes.
Yes, is it a plug and play tool? How can I incorporate it in our organization? Maybe you could quickly take us through that, then we can close.
Yeah, sure. So the deployment is very easy, and because it's all cloud-based, essentially, what we need from a client is just hopefully you guys have Microsoft or Google, but for a Microsoft 365 deployment, we just need the tenant ID, how many emails, the volume of emails that you expect daily, as well as potentially how many email users are in the cloud. Once we have that information, we can then spin up a cloud tenant specific for your organization. We then jump on a 15-minute deployment call. This deployment call is really just to create the journal rule. So, with Microsoft, there's basically in the admin portal, you then just create a journal rule. And then what we do is we give permissions for our AI to then, send a copy of every email to that cloud tenant. So the setup is extremely easy. I hope that answered the question.
Sorry, thank you.
Hi.
Yes, hi, David.
Sorry, I was on mute. I tried to chat, then I realized I was on mute.
No worries.
Your tenancy is on what platform? Azure, Amazon, or which one?
Azure.
Oh, you're purely Azure.
Yes, we're on Azure.
Oh, okay. You're not Amazon friendly or what?
We actually used to be on AWS. Recently, we partnered with Microsoft. So I think we get much better pricing for hosting in Azure.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's nice. Anyway,
Yeah.
this is David. I know I've not been on the forum for a while.
Hi, David. Great to have you back then.
Yes, I've been working a lot with Amazon.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, A Cloud Guru, all those guys.
Okay, cool.
I'm so keen to also find out what Amazon offers better than, not Amazon, Azure can do better than Amazon.
I have no idea. I think it's just a decision.
It's depending on what you want. Every person has their own requirement and specifications.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So you have to weigh on the options. Okay, for me, I'm more of Amazon on the security part.
Okay.
So much to offer on security. But anyway, nevertheless, I think that this forum is just one of the most awesome forum.
It really is. It really is.
And
I think maybe, David, also something, Darktrace provides additional protection in Azure and in Amazon AWS from a SaaS perspective. So understanding who's logging on to AWS, where they're logging on from, as well as from an infrastructure as a service. So looking at the traffic in AWS.
Yeah.
So we do both.
I think I think this forum will make us get to know a lot of things.
Yes, definitely.
Then I'll also, with time, introduce you to my partners. I deal with Psychotic.
Yes, I've heard about Psychotic.
Yeah, I'm actually a partner with Psychotic, and actually right now they're one of the largest guys in the privilege access management, which is one of the best way to be hacked. So yeah,
PAM is very important. Darktrace actually really enhances PAM.
That's where you find idle service accounts, admin accounts, compromised, and you'll never know just because you've not been monitoring your systems. But anyway, yeah, I know I'm supposed to be on a forum. Probably, is it next week, Tuesday? I'll try and put a few things on the people I work with. Then we can see how we can be able to work together and share information.
Yep, let me know. I'd love to have a chat with you.
Yeah. I'm speaking to who? Sorry.
My name's Taryn Woods.
What?
Taryn.
Oh, Karen.
Taryn with a T.
Oh, okay. No problem. I mean, in the same forum, so we'll be able to connect later and see what we can do. There's a lot to be done.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks, David. It's great to chat to you.
Okay, you take care. Thank you.
Oh, I just ended the slideshow.
Oh, you still continue on the presentation?
No, I'm done now.
Okay.
Okay, thank you for that, David. Maybe you can also get to talk to us, we get to know you more. And I believe Sam wanted to take over the session.
Okay.
Oh, mine just say thank you. Thank you, Taryn, for that wonderful presentation. I believe we had a chance to quite learn a lot. Thank you, Stella, for this particular opportunity. We as Ubuntu, we really appreciate this particular opportunity. Otherwise, I'll hand over to you, Stella.
Okay, I can see we have a good number of people who today are really interested in email security. And for those who want to get in touch with Urban Ubuntu and today's hosts, who are Sam and Tyran, we shared the handles on our Twitter pages and other platforms. So in case you want to have a chat with them, feel free to DM them. I believe today's session was very insightful. In case you'd like part 2 of email security, kindly let us know as SheHacks. We will definitely plan with the team. And thank you for the interactive questions. And in case there's anything else, I'll give it to either Laura or you, whoever is in the chat, and we can close.
I think you can share the contacts on the WhatsApp. Then we can be able to reach out on the guys.
We'll plan on that, David. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, guys. And thanks, Stella. I hope you can hear me well. It's been an amazing presentation. We really appreciate you, Taryn and Darktrace and Sami. Thanks for hosting it for us today. And I know people have learned a lot. I remember, I think Darktrace, there was a presentation by Darktrace at the Africa Hackon 2000 and I'm thinking 18 or 17. And yeah, we've been following what you do and it's amazing. So thank you for the presentation and I appreciate everyone also who attended. Eve, maybe you have something to say?
I think the much I have is to just say thank you to the speakers and also to everyone who's put in time to attend to the session today. This is really this is something great to us, and putting in time to just attend is among the best thing to have. And let's say for David, maybe we can have a better conversation as Stella said, and we see how best we can work together.
Oh, sure,
And,
for sure,
yeah.
for sure. I'll do that. I'll be able to do something on psychotic. Let me just get enough. We can share and we see.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much, guys.
Everyone, it was great to be here. Thanks for having me. I'm glad
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Christine, thanks, Sammy.
Thank you, Taiwan.
Have a lovely evening, everyone. Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Bye. Kiprono.
Bye, Kiprono.